Hey, Mikey,
Yo.
computers.
Yeah, I like those.
Do you think God could talk to you through a computer?
No. Well,
Well, you don't know shit because there was a guy that made a program that wasn't a part of the internet, and he was able to talk to God
no.
because there was glowing CIA people after him.
Glowing?
Yeah,
Banana Bear Show.
we're gonna be talking about basically Temple OS.
Oh.
Temple OS was a program made by a certain individual that we will later find out was had mental issues.
Yeah, I mean, to create an OS, you have to have mental issues. I
Well,
mean,
he
look
did
at
it
Bill
by
Gates.
he did it by scratch. Like he
Yeah,
programmed
no, I know.
everything.
I know.
Like
Yeah.
this guy was sorry past tense because a little spoiler for the episode. He's not with us anymore. However, unlike the other locales, um, I mean, some people may hate him because of the words he says, but this guy was had mental issues.
Yeah.
Like not like a oh he liked little girls like the other locales. He snapped, and a lot of people that know technical jargon like this still believe that this guy was absolute genius,
Yeah.
and just so happens like society ruined him,
Yeah, there's
didn't give
there's
him
a
the help.
there's a fine line between genius and insanity.
I guess, but it's sad because if he was around just 10 years earlier, I think he would have gotten the mental help that he needed, and he would
10
probably
years
still
later.
yeah
Ah,
like
yeah.
instead of yeah because like I said he's not
Cuz
with us anymore.
we take mental health more serious now
Yeah,
in some ways.
and it is funny because he says some weird shit, and in my opinion, we could cover you if you go online saying this shit. You put it out to the masses.
Yeah.
However, I have no ill will towards this guy or his family or what have you. It's just a bad situation, and documentation. If this like situation ever happened again with someone like this, I think it would turn out differently.
Oh yeah. I would
Uh,
hope unless they completely shut everybody out and they had no family, that sort of thing.
yeah, it was a rage cow or something, you know.
Nice. I have heard of this. I think I watched some videos on it. Oh, it's been a long time ago, probably 5 plus years. Um, so I know a little bit. And I might like it might come back to me.
Oh,
So
it will
it's
because we're going to use one of the most famous videos about him down the rabbit hole. Obviously,
oh,
uh, somebody that used to cover locales or weird situations on the internet. I don't think he makes videos anymore.
ah,
So we're going to be looking at Temple OS down the rabbit hole.
ding.
And mind you, if you look at this is all like DOS
Yeah,
stuff. This is stuff that's like probably outdated now. This guy built this all by scratch. That's saying a lot. That's a lot of code.
yeah. That's a lot of code. That's a lot of machine language that you have to do.
Yeah. It's not like simple stuff that Mikey does nowadays.
It's not. Did you restart your computer?
Did you turn it on, turn it off?
Yeah.
Depending on who is consulted, TempleOS is the outdated product of a deranged mind, the work of a misunderstood genius, or some complicated combination of the two. While the
I would say the
operating
third.
system was the result of over a decade of work, its creator, usually referred to as Terry A. Davis, attracted even more interest than the project itself, with his nonsensical, narcissistic, and often offensive rhetoric, including casually inserted slurs. Even
Oh,
so,
That is
casual.
that's saying it lightly.
Yeah,
Um, get ready for the bambling of a crazy guy.
I'm ready.
Uh, but if you think about it, crazy guys tell the truth, their truth.
Yeah, I was about to say it may not be real.
I don't know.
many
It's
people defend
may or
both
may
him
not.
and his project and feel a particular affection for both. So what is TempleOS, and how did it come to be?
So old. Mind you, I was introduced to this guy through uh the search through the dark web with some ordinary gamer,
Oh yeah.
and he's like, "This guy's awesome."
Yeah.
Not hearing what he was saying, like the crazy shit.
Ah,
And then I found the guy. I'm like, "Oh!" And then I went down a rabbit hole. Yeah,
nice.
this is years ago. I've always loved Volga.
In October of 2008, a Reddit account named Losethos was created and began posting frequently. Its posts consistently linked to different parts of the website losethos.com, but their titles varied from practical and straightforward, such as a free non-Unix 64-bit OS, to perplexing, such as godly song artificial intelligence and belligerent anti-atheism themed operating system. He would
We're going there. Like, okay.
regularly post these to the programming subreddit, where they would either go largely ignored or downvoted, mostly the former. The website was dedicated to the eponymous custom operating system, reminiscent of such from the 80s, offering a list of pages describing it, as well as demonstrative videos and images. Also available was the creator's name on his contact page, Terry A. Davis. The homepage describes the motive behind the project. Quote, Losethos is for programming as entertainment. It empowers programmers with kernel privilege because it's fun. It allows full access to everything because it's fun. It has no bureaucracy because it's fun. It's the way it is by choice because it's fun. Losethos is in no way a Windows or Linux wannabe. That would be pointless.
Okay.
Does coding look fun?
It can be.
You're a different type of person.
It's like figuring out a puzzle. It's like sometimes it cannot be fun while you're trying to figure it out, but whenever you figure it out, then that's when it's like, oh yeah, and then at the end you have something that's there that does something.
When I
That's
see
fun.
when I see TempleOS, it reminds me of, oh no, I got a virus. Because I gotta go into the system and go
And
Control
delete
F.
words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much of the rest of the text in the home section was jargon, but a few things stood out. First, the operating system was written in a customized version of the common programming language C. He admitted the limitations of his creation, saying, quote, Losethos was designed from scratch with a clean slate and has no compatibility with anything else.
Yeah.
However, he attempted to spin this severe restriction as a positive thing, saying, I took every opportunity to improve things once I made a clean break with the past. That's another reason Losethos has value. It is innovative. Terry mentioned that Losethos output in 640 by 480 with 16 colors, an incredibly outdated format, but despite its appearance, he stated that the operating system was built to run on modern hardware. Due to the way the system was structured, it also was incredibly vulnerable to malware, but this was likely never a concern for Terry, as there was no networking on the OS whatsoever. This meant that any system running Losethos would be unable to communicate with another computer, ruling out internet and LAN
fair.
functionality entirely. With no printing supported either, anything made on the system would be isolated to that system alone.
Okay.
Because it's fun.
To work around this, he recommended using Losethos in conjunction with another, more common operating system, though the purpose for doing so was questionable at best.
Yeah.
Terry also provided what he called songs from God, with lyrics appearing near the top of the screen as the operating system played them.
What?
Under a tab labeled History, Terry shared some of his experiences working as a computer engineer. It opened with, quote, I find this very crass, but there are lots of chestnuts boasting about in open foyers and have to say this. I have a 1440 SAT and was a National Merit finalist. fuck yourselves. When you're your own boss, you can do what you like the way you like it, too. I happen to like to have fun when I program. I'm an expert in knowing what is fun about programming, and that's why Luzthos is so awesome. Designed to have fun programming. If you're so smart, tell me what's fun and not fun about programming.
Pat myself on the back. That's all that was.
Mikey, for the common person that's maybe my intelligence,
Okay.
can you tell me a 1440? Is that good?
That's what I was just thinking about. I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Isn't the max 15?
I think so.
That's another level of smart. Um, yeah.
Oh my gosh, come on. I just want to know.
uh, well, um, best to aim for a score at least 12,000. 12,000 is average. No,
Okay.
the mid set is 1,014. Yeah, a 1,600 is the max.
It's a 95th percentile.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
That is
He's
insane.
he scored higher than 95% of everyone who's taken it. Dang.
Wow. Like I said, this guy is like, he's a genius.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
He can say that.
He said that.
Along with photographs of
Yeah.
himself
He's
and
allowed
his work,
to.
he explained that he had been employed by Ticketmaster from 1990 to 1996, coding and designing hardware while simultaneously earning an undergraduate degree and a subsequent master's degree in electrical engineering. It was also
Is this
during
why
this time that he
Ticketmaster
created
sucks?
the code that would
You
Why
know,
it sucks?
yeah, their online process sucks balls.
Now it does.
Yeah.
But back in the day, they for
Uh,
hardware to run it, that was like for the little machines
yeah.
for like supermarket stuff to buy tickets there. Like
Yeah, I
I
mean
don't know.
he created it and then he, went and did his own thing and now it sucks. That's what
Do
I'm
you
saying.
see what's right by him?
Yeah.
That is a fucking that's a mill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically a 3D printer, it looks like.
No, it's not. Like
I
a
mean,
3D printer is something
it
that builds up, right? A
right.
mill is the opposite. It's a drill.
I know it drills down, but I mean
Yeah.
it's the
But
same
but it
concept.
but it's programmed to. So one is to build up from nothing. The other one is to take some like a block and break it down.
No, I know the difference, Corin, but
I'm
like
saying not everyone's a genius like you. I'm trying to say to the people out there because I worked on those machines.
right.
I did get a
But
small degree.
I wonder if they could use a computer program back at that time. I'm gonna guess not.
Well, XYZ protocol, like of the tools and all that stuff. I mean, it was you're a mechanical engineer to do that. My friend sat, and writing the program for it is a bitch.
How old? I wonder how old this would be with that picture.
That is 90s.
That is 90s.
I can tell you right now, it's the 90s. Look at his hair and what he's wearing, and the type of computer that is. It's 90s. 80s, the computer would be bigger, and so would his hair.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd have to look that up. I can't find it right off the top here.
eventually become Luz.
It's funny because somebody told me when I working as a machinist, doing all that stuff, that you truly become a machinist when you understand that you're not going X, Y, but
Right.
also Z,
Yeah.
and envisioning that.
Up,
And
down, forward.
well, it's hard though because a lot of people think of X, Y,
Mhm.
X, Y, like when you're looking at something, not the
Yep.
Z. And
I took an AutoCAD class. I aced it.
Oh, of course you did.
I'm not as smart
After
as him,
quitting
though.
Ticketmaster, he began his own business named Home Automation and Robotic Equipment, or HARE, in
Hi.
order to work on an early consumer-grade
Hair?
milling machine controlled by a PC, a sort
Yeah.
of early home 3D printer. In 1997,
What I
having
say?
apparently halted work on his machine, he took engineering
Similar,
work
not
again.
the same.
But his personal
that's what I
history
said.
ends in 2003, 5 years prior to sharing Luzthos. As of 2008, it was unclear how he was making money. Users on Reddit seemed to regard Luzthos mostly as a curiosity and an odd personal project, and couldn't find any practical purpose for it.
Yeah.
One person replied, quote, "Sorry, no network, wireless, etc. is just a waste of time. Times have changed since Apple II." Another person offering constructive criticism stated, quote, "At the moment, it's not clear what you want people to do with it. I think you have a cool project that deserves more interest. Good luck." In response, Terry suggested that Luzthos was, quote, "just a place to mess around with programming," but this answered little. He also explained that his operating system was, quote, "a souped-up Commodore 64 basically," but this further confounded its purpose. Terry A. Davis was also active on Reddit in a different way. He would frequently post to the atheism subreddit, declaring the existence of God and entering arguments with the users there, but these interactions were marked by uncanny paragraphs of apparently random words.
Oh, do you want me to read that?
Allow innocent people to suffer. A, shut up.
B, atheists. C, they deserve it. D, all the above. You don't
I'm
really
just going-
care, do you? You just want to argue. Christ said to himself, I am meek and humble of heart. Learn from me. My yoke is light. We didn't have to save the world. What? What does humble of head mean? Proud of heart means you won't accept a gift, even from God, like being born American. Seriously, does it bother you that people in Africa suffer? No. You just treat it as a head trip instead of a heart trip, God says. Church, I made it that way. Employer Germany, jealousy, what time of the month, endeavor, atheist, look _ buddy. I'm lost. Hold on. Proud of heart means you argue about who goes in the door last. You first. No, you first. A core principle of Christianity is grace, first gift, or free gift. Proud of heart people will not accept grace. They won't. If God's nice to you, don't. That's not apologize. Apollo.
Apologize.
Wow. Say thanks by all means. Give your tithes and give praise. Helping people is rewarding for many. Too many people love neighbor with all heart, mind, soul, and not God. Loving God is not a waste, but modern religions seem to think it's better to help neighbor. Most people have an ego problem, and their ego is bigger than they help others more than loving God. God says, random passage.
Why'd you put the random packet? What?
Auction.
Auction.
we will reach only 1/3 of that goal by the end of 2001, or about 3,333 e-texts. Unless we manage to get some real funding, the project Gutenberg Literacy Archive Foundation has been created to secure a future for Project Gutenberg, yeah. Into the next millennium. We need your donations more than ever. What is this?
I don't know.
This is like from sentence to sentence. It's almost like I'm reading different paragraphs.
Yeah, like it's randomly generated by a madman.
Yeah.
Common
Dang.
phrases and excerpts
Dang.
from literature off of Project Gutenberg, preceded by the phrase, "God says." Those comprised of random words and phrases were particularly uncanny, and sometimes he would reply with nothing but these God says sections. For example, one reads in part, God says, confute, exodus, print, propound, resumed, glorify, elect, forgiving, pleasant, itself equals long, catch, abject, oft times, miracles, etc. However, few people would typically attempt to engage with him.
It's kind of like he's programming with language.
Yeah, Mikey. So if you haven't gotten what TempleOS is, it's a random word generator of God.
His comments were downvoted as
I think that in a nutshell, because it's not AI.
People refused to reply, despite Terry's apparent need for conflict. When he made a post entitled, Bad News, There is a God, almost nobody responded, and so he began making responses to his own post continuing to denounce atheists for their non-belief, but these often seemed to lose focus partway through. One of these comments reads, quote, God, they don't want to talk to you. God's good company, you just have to hold up your end of the conversation and try not to be annoying. What is it about computer science people and atheism, huh? Brain equals computer, I imagine. That's what once made me an atheist. Still not too sure about that. I think the answer lies in going beyond the notion of causality as we typically think of it. There can be incredible synchronicity in the world, which makes causality quaint. God says, Homo to infinity and beyond, Ivan, don't mention it. Ha, how far, hypocrite. Heads I win, tails you lose, you are my sunshine, etc. But Reddit wasn't the only place he was posting.
The underscores in there are weird because underscore, like there were spaces in between there as well. So like underscore some words underscore something else is like a file name. Typically that you can do instead of putting spaces, because if you're looking in a folder, it's easier to have it all one word rather than spaces because you have to put in quotes. That's weird that it's not. Like, some of that was phrases, but some of it was like the beginning of a phrase and then space and the end of a phrase and then underscore something else. Weird.
Mikey, you're supposed to be my translator, and I think I overqualified you in your ability to
I don't understand it yet.
Mumbo jumbo from a smart guy.
I've got to dig deeper, and then I'll be able to explain it. Right
on
now,
November
it's like
29th, 2008,
crazy.
Terry made a post on the OS Dev forums entitled The Lusthos Operating System, using Lusthos as his username there as well. It read, quote, You might be interested in the Lusthos operating system as a starting point for your own, or for ideas. It's 64-bit and includes a 64-bit compiler/assembler I wrote. It's public domain and open source. I tried to keep it simple, and I innovated many things. It supports multi-core. At first, forum users were curious and attempted to run Lusthos on their own systems, but when they ran into difficulties, the creator responded with an air of smug superiority. Quote, I have no idea what VMware software does and don't care. All I know is it's likely to be slow and you'll struggle with additional constraints. The first thing I did was write an assembler and compiler so I could be independent. It may be too much for you guys. In this thread...
Burn.
Okay, so real quick, VMware is something you can run on your computer on your OS to run other OSs. Just FYI. A lot of times VMware is used to, like, if your work, if you have a computer and you connect in, a lot of times it's a VMware rather than you have to have a complete operating system on your computer, like, connected into the network.
He claimed that Lusthos had attracted significant attention on Reddit only a few days prior, netting 50,000 page visits on his website and 500 downloads, but it appears that even if this was the case, the post is now lost. The responses to these posts were universally negative, with people expressing frustration with his elitism.
Hypocrite.
This fighting attracted the attention of the moderators, who locked the thread the same day it was posted. Between November 29th of 2008 and January 19th of 2009, Terry would post frequently to the OS Dev boards, mentioning his operating...
You could always use the Lusthos compiler It has 1632 and 64-bit assembly controls, completely non-standard, but I think it's better than the original syntaxes. You develop and launch your OS from Lustos. One primary difficulty you will have with other environments is launching into kernel mode from other operating systems which try to keep you in user mode. Yeah, they keep you in user mode because the majority of people do not need kernel access, which is like root access. If you get stuck developing or operating your operating system, the Lustos code is there to help. The only problem is, so I have read a little bit about this. As far as from like people developing, there were quite a few people who took this and made things with it because it seemed to be like a good starting point. You could kind of break down because he did keep it super simple. But I don't know too much more about this, and he just, even in his jargon here, it's not very user friendly.
He's cocky with it too. Like,
yeah,
you don't know how to do a compiler?
What? No takers? Question mark.
System as much as he could and portraying his skill and his work as being above the other members. However, there would occasionally be strange digressions in his writing. In response to apparently nobody in particular, he wrote, "Yeah, but he said the resolution wasn't supposed to be permanent after I made a promise, and you have to keep your word. Sucks." Who he was unclear, but the capitalization of he suggests he was speaking of God. Another post read, "Mental hospitals suck, but disability checks are cool. Guys from Metallica seem to know about mental health." However, he was eventually banned either on or after January 19th, as no posts exist on the account after this time. In February of 2009, 4 months after he began sharing Lustos with the internet, Terry accelerated his posts on Reddit. As he became a familiar figure in the programming subreddit, a few people began replying and engaging with him, attempting to learn not only about the operating system, but also about Terry himself. Some were impressed at the ability of Terry to construct an operating system all on his own, while others dismissed Lustos as outdated and useless. Similarly, while some people had their curiosity piqued, others were beginning to lose patience after months of his repetitive posts. One person wrote, quote, "Hey mate, I like your project, it seems like you're having fun and I don't really care that it doesn't have networking or it's just your toy OS. Having said that, please don't fill up the programming subreddit with every single update. If we're interested, we'll watch your page." Eventually, his posts to the programming subreddit halted, perhaps because he'd been restricted from doing so, but by April of 2009, he had begun advertising Lustos in comments instead. These comments, however, were easily recognized as attempts at advertisement and largely dismissed. Terry would also begin regularly posting to Hacker News, a website similar to Reddit hosted on the Y Combinator website, duplicating his posts in order to gain more attention. I don't know if you read that. However, the moderators would inevitably...
But he, one of the comments was, "The way this is programmed, I can't run other people's software on it."
Well, obviously, it's supposed to be by itself.
Like, the guy looked like he was trying to figure out how to do it himself, and he still couldn't figure it out. Oh, that sucks.
Inevitably remove them, like they viewed Terry's repeated...
All those are dead links still.
Yep.
Links to the Lustos site as spam. As on Reddit, Terry would also comment on other people's posts, extolling the virtues of Lustos and attempting to turn discussion towards it. By this point, it appeared that Terry's patience was diminishing. When someone criticized him for wasting his talent, he replied, quote, "You guys are all pathetic. You look at the graphics and conclude it's not advanced. Be honest, if I had made a pretty picture... Disgusted with you apes. The same sort who said in 1900 everything has been invented. You're probably Linux cultists." End quote. Terry would continue to post on Reddit and Hacker News in the following months as updates were applied to Lustos, but as 2009 wore on, people began to notice idiosyncrasies in Terry's writings. In one case, a person pointed out that he had ostensibly chosen his extremely limited resolution and colors because he had promised God that he would do so, contradicting a statement from him made earlier that it had been a technical decision. Another person noted with amusement that one of the selling points of Lustos was Bible and hymns. In November, he would also begin posting about updates in his own subreddit dedicated to the operating system, but these gained far less attention than his posts on the programming subreddit, with nearly nobody commenting, posting, or voting on it besides Terry himself. At the turn of the year, Terry apparently abandoned Reddit altogether without a single new post after December 31st, 2009. By June of 2010, the account had been deleted altogether, and he instead began posting as trivial solutions in a similar way, though the content had begun to grow even more aggressive and offensive. He would also attempt to advertise on the programming subreddit under an account transparently created by Terry for the sole purpose of pretending to be someone else
Wonka
advertising
500.
Loose Those. Like his other attempts, it would go ignored. Terry also continued to post to Hacker News throughout the entirety of 2010 to no effect, as his account was shadow banned, only
So
able
does
to be
he
seen
think
if
he's
a user
Willy
had
Wonka
enabled the ability
of operating
to see
systems?
dead posts. Attempting to circumvent his ban on the OS dev forums, he created another account, also under the name Trivial Solutions, but he was easily discovered and banned again less than 12 hours later. Despite his lack of desired outreach, he would still create new demo videos of his operating system, where people online would be able to hear his voice for the first time.
I wrote this over the past 7 years full time, and I did a compiler, an assembler, an editor, a graphics library, and it's all 64-bit.
Perhaps recognizing his failure through his other channels, he created a Twitter account in September of 2010, where he would occasionally tweet updates he'd made to the source code.
Okay,
Dang.
so you want to know when you know that the person's crazy that you're talking to?
Sure.
When their photo is like this.
Oh, nice.
What are they looking at?
However, with little way for
Oh, he
people
made,
to discover him,
he added Good
these
King
tweets
Swissel's
went
Loss.
ignored entirely.
Wenceslas.
His constant attempts to attract
As a game.
attention would continue through the
Look at
rest of the year,
Yeah.
but they would slow.
What is the one word you think he's thinking of?
Christmas.
And eventually halt in the first half
Murder.
of 2011.
Murder.
But just as he appeared to be losing hope, he would gain newfound interest, though not the kind he desired.
Uh-oh.
On July 15th, 2011, a user going by Jimford posted a thread on the Something Awful forums entitled Loosethos, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bong. One of the opening paragraphs reads, quote, "Gentlemen, I present to you Loosethos. The very definition of your OS is a piece of shit. The operating system is, without a shadow of a doubt, a piece of shit. Behold, a tale of misery far beyond reading Tom Collins's posts. I give you the afternoon of my day off in screenshot format." Underneath this, Jimford detailed his account of his time running TempleOS through a virtual machine, using numerous screen captures while describing his process. After 3 attempts to begin the installation, he was able to reach the install screen. He stated, quote, "During this period, everything in sight was blinking. Lesser men would have had a seizure from the install screen alone. After I finally gave up, I felt as though I had one." After the installation, he shared the initial user experience, stating, "The strange V thing was rotating and everything that is highlighted was flashing incessantly. I was then greeted with the most horrifyingly ugly thing I had yet seen, even worse than Linux. After closing the worthless tip of the day window, I was
Why is the
apparently
tank
sent to my home
sideways?
screen. There didn't appear to be anything other than a bunch of
I don't know.
homegrown, unplayable games. The only options in the user main menu were games, all of them horrible." Much of his experience was spent fumbling, as he did not know any commands, until he finally discovered what appeared to be a tutorial, which helped little. After returning to the home screen, he clicked on hypertext that opened a window that gave, among other things, Terry's home address in Las Vegas and a more detailed history of the operating system. Terry had written, quote,
Yikes.
"I've been working on Loosethos full-time for 8.0 years. Yes, I wrote every one of the 129,486 lines myself. No GPL code, no linkage or dependence on other code. I am a for-profit company, not welcoming code contributions, but feedback is very welcome. Technically, I started Lusthos in about 1993. I set it aside until 2003 when I resurrected it and worked full-time, seriously on it. Eventually, Jimford attempted to perform some coding in Lusthos. Quote, "Turned out the C+ thing this dude wrote was as much of an abortion as the OS itself. I decided to go to the Lusthos website, attempting to garner a clue as to what was going on. Further confusion. Only RMS could beat this guy in bullshit long-windedness. Not only is this operating system a piece of shit, but so is his so-called custom programming language. Eventually, I got it down enough to make something useful out of it." While Lusthos had already become an in-joke among programmers online, this forum post made it much more accessible to others with less programming knowledge. It's likely that Terry was aware of this thread, as only a day after Jimford's post, he made his own on Something Awful, complaining about a ban he had received on the OS dev forums. However, the members of the Something Awful forums were not sympathetic, and Terry was eventually banned from the Something Awful forums as well, with his usual outlets either barred from him or
It takes a special guy to go after the. This is the place that you shouldn't like be wandering. You don't want like harassment. And he's like purposely punching the beehive, and they're even telling you stop it, and he keeps going because he knows coding.
or ignoring him, Terry would lose most of his online audience even as new people were discovering
I like how it
Lusthos.
says a black
But this would
dude.
coincide with a drastic deterioration of Terry's coherency that would attract gawkers of a new and much more numerous kind.
Uh-oh. Are they talking about us?
Yes.
Throughout 2011, Terry had continued to post fruitlessly on Hacker News with his familiar rhetoric combined with his strange messages from God. Small details about his life would emerge, such as the fact that he lived with his parents and that he was seeing shrinks, but as the year was nearing its end, his online activity took on a drastically different tone. This change was first apparent on Twitter. On October 20th and 21st, 2011, Terry posted a series of 4 tweets denouncing the American Central Intelligence Agency. It opened
Hey, Mikey, you want to read this?
Sure. CIA fucks with me URL. I have Terry Davis level 1 through 4 directories. TDL4 is Linux God talk stuff. We'll settle in God's court. I hate the CIA. They operate by blackmail. They are scum. They are the Saudi king by short hairs.
with,
What?
quote, "I hate the CIA. They operate by blackmail. They are scum. They got the Saudi king by short hairs." A few months later, in December, he would tweet again, saying, quote, "Kill CIA people. Hit them with cars and run. They are scum." He then implied that he had done just that, killing what he called a doppelganger. 2
Shrinks
months
employ
later, He further
actors?
specified whom he claimed to have.
What? There's crazy actor agents who fuck with me. My parents are enemies. I killed one in 99. What? It's not Iran that fucks with me. My enemy is those who do me harm. I had an Iranian boss at Ticketmaster. I made a line regular for bad wall voltage and did image processing.
Killed.
Huh.
Quote, "There's crazy actors/agents who fuck with me. My parents are enemies. I killed one in 1999. Nah. Score is 1 nuttin', except you crushed my nuts. God says, horse sung accents revenge wholesome deservings marrow funding necessities." His
Oh, okay. God says. Interesting.
Mikey, what you just said is the opposite of what I was thinking. God says, random wholesale
Yeah.
marrow, and you're like,
posts on Hacker News also began to take on
Well,
this
I
fear
see
and
it's a
anger
random number
towards the
generator
CIA.
now.
That part, not him killing a CIA agent.
Believing psychotherapists
Was he talking about a CIA
were
agent or his
agents
parent?
using
No, he said CIA put actors. My parents are enemies. I killed one in 1999.
But did he kill a
doppelgangers to control
parent?
people's actions.
CIA.
Terry would soon begin to include racial beliefs in his writings. On January 14th, 2012, he wrote a comment on Hacker News that read in part, quote, "Little kiddies, you might regret freeloading when justice smacks you as you try to make money on a blog or software in later years. God is just. I win 10 lotteries a day. I'm not at all worried about justice. Niggers. Not at all worried about public opinion. Everything is shrink actors. Evil British agents and shit who have no regard for God. Once I said the difference between niggers and white people is niggers don't know the world is just." His usage of the word would steadily increase through the months.
Dang.
What he does is not only like, okay, there's no reason to ever say that N word, but not only does he say that, he adds something before it to make a new slur.
Of 2012, but rather than grow annoyed with him, people online would instead begin to pity him. On August 12th, 2012, a post was made to the website Metafilter entitled "An Operating System for Songs from God." Its description was sparse. Quote, "Lusthos is an operating system written by a schizophrenic programmer. A narrated demo and many songs by God and me, the apparent primary use of the OS, are available to view." While many early replies were fairly dumbfounded and commented on the absurdity of the website, some were already aware of Terry's strange online interactions, and one person replied who had been observing Terry for some time, largely dismissing him. He wrote, quote, "Surprised you didn't mention his Hacker News submissions, comments, and profile. I actually went down the rabbit hole with this a couple years ago and was surprised there wasn't more discussion of the technical aspects of what he was trying to do/talk about, since it is largely indistinguishable from a million other crazy geek projects." Sadly, he barges into discussions with incoherent conspiracy theories and long-winded tirades unrelated to the main thread. I feel sad for him. I have family and friends who act similarly. Whatever he's done merits some discussion, but when he derails into crazy conspiracy theories and personal attacks, it's hard to move forward. The guy's been hellbanned on Hacker News for years, but so are a few people who have dared criticize Paul Graham, so I end up stumbling across his comments occasionally, reading dead links/comments, and ultimately feel sad that he doesn't have a more receptive outlet for his lunacy. End quote. But people likely didn't expect Terry himself to appear. Under the handle Lusthos, he attacked the OS dev forums that had banned him in early 2009, over 3.5 years prior, though he claimed erroneously that he was banned 2 years before then. He wrote, "Where do I begin with how evil that site is? I treat it as entertainment. Been banned since 2007. They brainwash people into supporting 286 processors and say nothing of x86-64. They say nothing of developing compilers, though. That's what any new OS should do first thing for its command line." He would continue to post comments, though they often had little to do with the topic at hand. One of the staff on the website eventually saw fit to reply, quote, "Heyo, Lusthos, it's great that you signed up, and if you want to have a conversation with folks here about your work or what people have brought up in the thread, that'd be really neat. That said, threads here are more of a conversation and less of a posting free-for-all in general, so yeah, slowing down a little and nixing the 'and here's a random thing I'm thinking' stuff in favor of something a little more focused would work better." Terry immediately replied by sharing the text randomizing tool he used to generate his God Says passages. When he began to grow confrontational, people engaged with him, and he spent the next 11 hours arguing with others. However, when the post was archived the following day, the discussion abruptly ended. While the aforementioned sites were not the only places he was posting, they were the only places he was receiving attention, however active he may have been on Stack Overflow. By this point, between his posts on forums and link aggregators, a clearer understanding of Terry A. Davis had emerged. He was in his early 40s, living with his parents after the government had declared him mentally unfit for work following a schizophrenia diagnosis, putting him on disability. Rather than
he really
trying
was
to find money
schizophrenic.
for work, he had spent the last decade working on his operating system Lusthos, with a loose and uncertain plan to monetize it. He had also spent at least some of this time believing he could commune with God by interpreting seemingly random events in his life, eventually settling on using random number generators in order to select words as well as biblical and literary passages.
Yep, told you, random number generator. Cloud computing.
On October 2nd, 2012, Terry released version 1.0 of Lusthos under a new name, Sparrow OS, creating a number of social media accounts under the same name and a subreddit dedicated to it, to little fanfare. Though the operating system wouldn't be known for long
Little
as
fanfare?
Sparrow
What are you
OS,
talking
it
about?
was under this name that Terry A.
Oh,
Davis's
no.
operating system became known to the Kiwi Farms, a forum born from the early group interested in Christian Weston Chandler,
which was the CWC quickie.
used to observe and discuss strange people online. On February 26, 2013, a post was made about him, and while the original post appears to be lost to an edit, the replies show the minor interest that people took. Beyond a few bits of ridicule, however, he was mostly ignored, and the thread died the following day. But it wouldn't stay this way for good. By March of 2013, Terry had changed the name again to that by which it would become more widely known, TempleOS. He would soon create a matching Twitter account and a new website, TempleOS.org, with resources to accompany it, as well as a new logo.
I completely forget that like Twitter is really old too.
Yeah.
Sorry, X.
Since the Twitter account is deleted and no archives of the first year and a half appear to exist, what he tweeted on this account during that time is lost. Of the video of his games, only one survives from this time, something he labeled After Egypt, Moses Game, a program he considered by far to be the most important in TempleOS.
Okay, so, there's camp. If we break camp, the number of people gets randomly bigger or smaller. Anyway, oh, watch this. They'll do golden calf. They all run in a circle, and that's from the Bible story. Few clouds. God was a cloud. I was gonna have it lead them around or something, or make figures in the clouds. Anyway, let's see. Hold court.
Okay.
Okay, Mikey. So, you know,
Oh, hold on. Moses comics?
Yeah.
Beg for meat.
well,
You can battle, and you
this
can
way,
make
he'll-
water.
He'll explain it to you, but I wanted to point this out. So, think of it like this: you have
Okay.
a crazy schizophrenic guy
Yes.
that has extreme amounts of knowledge of how to make basic programming from that time period.
Yes.
Correct? And he is he's a Christian, maybe a born again because he said he was an atheist.
Right.
So he started obsessing about it, and taking the Bible and reading it over and over. And you know, you're religious, you know this. If you, some people interpret it as you have to spread the word and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And in his eyes, oh, he has to have people do this because God told me I have to do it, because he also hears voices.
Right. I mean, he's crazy.
So he's taking the spin of more or less Old Testament because, I mean, it's Moses, you know?
Yeah, I think he's just picking random things.
No, but Temple OS,
Yeah.
very Jewy.
What?
Well, Temple, they go to Temple.
No, I know, I understand, but just use the word Jewy to describe something.
What?
I know it's not
It's
a
like,
slur,
oh, that's
but
very
dang.
Jesus-y, Jewy.
I mean, sure.
I know that sounds like juicy or chewy, but you know, whatever.
Okay.
We're talking about insane guy that made a program. Shut up, man. Nobody looks at me for like, oh, how smart Mark is with his wording.
No, insane guy that covered insane guys.
Okay, I'll take it.
A woman commits adultery to a child. Ooh. Punish.
What?
Hold court. A child commits adultery to a child. Really punish. Hold court. A child commits idolatry. Really punish. Okay, so view map. They wandered 40 years in the desert. So this must be what they did. Okay. Make water. He struck a stone and it made water. Anyway, begged for meat. They got sick of the manna, and they wanted meat, and God gave them meat, and they got sick and died. Anyway,
Hilarious.
so here's the cool thing.
What a slapping.
This really works. If you talk to God, He'll talk to you. So let's ask Him.
The burning
That's a
bush.
burning bush.
From let's see, what can we? If you do an offering, He'll talk. How about
The Holy Spirit can puppet you.
did you make any babies today? Okay. 20% of the net profits you derive calculated. This is from the Bible, small print. God wants 20%. Anyway, God wants 20%.
God wants to print out 20%.
Let's go to. I do Moses comics.
Oh,
Why don't you make the sun stand still to show them? Oh, come on, would you settle for a wet blanket? That's a reference to this one story where dew formed on this one blanket. Anyway,
Over the months, this website would change in new and strange ways. The first
whoa.
Like I said, very Old Testament obsessing about it than having somebody in his head that doesn't exist. I mean, maybe God, but maybe God did talk to him.
Just the laughing makes that creepy. Like,
What-
really
what-
punish. I'm like, oh no.
Children, adultery, children, real
I mean, all the. It seems like he would just go punish, really punish,
real
really
punish. Yeah,
first major one
show no mercy.
was in either late June or early July, when the top of the front page was replaced with a video, now lost, and the words, "God's temple is finished. Now God kills CIA until it spreads. Nobody knows the Father but the Son. Do loving offerings. God will shine his love. Hell is the absence of God. Heaven is God's company." What followed was a list of questions that Davis had asked God, paired with the answers he believed God had given him.
Hold on.
These ranged from
What makes bears happy?
What? Where's that? Oh. Reaping depends?
Animal sacrifice?
What makes otters happy? Eternal skies. What makes hippos happy? Ascending breath. What makes horses happy? The call of the open range. Okay, that one makes sense.
Yeah.
Endangered species. Enough stars. What's for dinner? Well, what is this?
Favorite band? Beatles. Good band? Rush.
Triumph. Like harmonies. Should I listen to classical? Poison.
So God's saying, if this was true, that if you listen to classical music, it's poison. But he loves Rush and the Beatles.
God's thoughts on war and religion to what makes certain animals happy to his favorite video game. Then, sometime in August or September, he changed the front page again, and by this point, his new purpose for the operating system had become clear. The site now had Bible verses from 1 Kings discussing Solomon's temple, writing beneath it, quote, "Use after Egypt inside TempleOS as an oracle. An oracle is a Ouija board or Christian tongues. You get out of prayer what you put in. God said, honest measures applies when exchanging an offering for a response from the oracle in TempleOS. Picking a greeting card is love effort. You will get back love. This is not artificial intelligence. It is purely an occult oracle like tongues or a Ouija board. It is a microsecond range stopwatch that you press for random numbers to pick words or passages, with no statistics, no Markov chains. There is no network support in this OS either. Just talk to God out loud and try it, as long as you have made an offering such as praise, a hymn, a poem, or comic. Doing an offering first is a covenant. You can get away with just conversation, but you get out what you put in. Praise sandcastles, snowmen, popcorn, and bubbles. Love effort is like when you pick a greeting card. You get back the love you put in. End
What?
quote. Soon afterwards, he would begin posting what he called his rants, which were near daily thoughts and ramblings, starting on September 13th, 2013. The first day's rants acted as a sort of treatise on TempleOS, speaking to his restrictive line count limit and his reasoning, divine and otherwise, for creating it as he did. However, one of these rants on this day showed an increasing narcissism. It reads, quote, I am God's chosen programmer. He has endowed me with divine intellect, like the authors of the Bible. It has no code I did not write. It never runs code I did not write. I am the best programmer on the planet. I wrote a 64-bit compiler, assembler, kernel, debugger, bootloader, graphics library, graphics editor, tools like grep, and a bunch of demos, including a first-person shooter and flight simulator. I am the best programmer on the planet. That's why God chose me, and that should help you understand. There are two kinds of programmers, those who have written compilers and those who haven't.
Mikey, have you written compiler?
No.
Then I guess you're not one of the chosen ones.
Nope.
You're not allowed to talk to random number generator, God, okay?
What sounds
Darn.
impossible for you is not impossible for me.
Oh.
End quote. As time went on, however, these rants would change form into what more closely resembled public journal entries discussing his thoughts on any of a range of topics he had been considering that day, along with answers and statements based on his word generator. These posts would vary in number from just a few per day to well over a dozen. But what would net Terry the most attention would come on October 3rd, 2013, when he began uploading videos to a new YouTube channel named after TempleOS. The first 10 videos on this account were collections of hymns he had written, totaling approximately 40 minutes, but like the ones he had shown years before, they had a strange, uncanny quality. He would also soon upload new videos about the programs he had created, while offering an overview of TempleOS where he explained its new purpose.
This is TempleOS. It's a 64-bit PC operating system. It has an oracle, that's why it's called TempleOS. The main purpose is for doing offerings and of hymns and art and poems and stuff, and then getting a response from God in the oracle.
He stopped shortly after uploading 14 videos in total and only offered rants for the next 5 months, mostly repeating himself and relaying the random words and passages he would receive from God. Many of these were short and delivered in a stream of consciousness style, such as one that read, quote, Earth porn is the best. The Warcraft game trailer had a sunset. You might not like works of hands, worlds made by man like Avatar. Occasionally, his peculiar mode of speech and writing would create something strangely amusing. For example, believing 16-color graphics to be superior, he created a drawing of an elephant over which he wrote, This is 16-color, pleasant to create. It would be unpleasant to draw with 16,777,216 colors.
You don't have to draw with all of them.
That's the weirdest fucking elephant.
I mean, it's probably better
better
than I can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you can do stuff better than that, but I mean, I've seen you.
Well,
do
I'm
stuff.
just saying, like, it's very polygony.
In late 2013, he created a list of demands since he had declared TempleOS, God's third temple, completed. These were directed towards a number of programs.
By the way, that's why I keep saying it's very Jewish-like, because isn't that a part of that, the third temple, that thing?
Yeah, they're building a temple. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm just saying, like, it's weird.
programmers and software companies, namely Windows and Linux, so that their systems would be compatible with TempleOS. Towards the end, however, these demands grew less focused, and he seemed to take on a more diplomatic tone. He wrote, "All hardware and BIOSes must support TempleOS as a native and as a virtual system, dual-booted with Windows or Linux. It would be neat if TempleOS were burned into BIOS ROMs. My hope is that it will be finished and largely unchanging. I need a good dictionary first." Maybe we leave the dictionary out. The front page of TempleOS would change on occasion, though usually they were the same ideas espoused with new wording. The strangeness of Davis's writings and his growing reputation online were beginning to attract attention, and soon, online publications would begin discussing his passion project, now a decade in the making.
Okay.
On January 20th, 2014, an article was released for the online publication Tech Republic entitled TempleOS, an educational tool for programming experiments, and it offered a sympathetic and positive look into Terry's operating system and his history. They wrote, quote, "His vision for TempleOS is something akin to a modern Commodore 64. It's simple to understand, manipulate, and work within. In essence, it's an educational tool for programming experiments. It's bare bones by design. You have direct access to the hardware, and you can do what you like with it, within the limitations of the hardware. This is a laudable goal, and one solution to the complexity of programming modern computers that programmers, hardware designers, and educators are seeking to solve." It closes by stating, "TempleOS is a testament to the dedication and passion of one man displaying his technological prowess. It doesn't need to be anything more." The article spoke very little about Terry's history, including
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. And then you're like, oh, hey, maybe we should. I should have my kid look at this. What the?
No. I don't think he's talking about kid. I mean, he's talking about kids, but he's not just saying, "Here, take this." You know, you could probably go in there and see how things work, and you don't have to go into every single thing. Like, you look at the back end of it.
I have some more airplanes. These are my last airplanes. Go get them.
His rants also continued to grow less lucid as 2014 continued, sometimes asking God simple questions such as if he liked something or not, while on Twitter, his ramblings became more manic. On March 12th of that year, he wrote, "The CIA has a 7-year-old deep-throating a loaded 45 at DMV next to me fucking with me. I'll teach him to pull the trigger." Around this time, he also began adding to his demands page, beginning with, quote, "Guess what, biatches? Daddy's home. Deuteronomy 16:16. Y'all have to do 3 offerings per year in the temple." These offerings were either hymns or Moses comics created in TempleOS. The rules would grow over the year, becoming more restrictive and written more conversationally as time went on. In late June of that year, his posts to YouTube began in earnest. One of his early videos showed his process for making songs, and it revealed exactly why they had sounded so strange. He had been creating them with a program that interpreted numbers from TempleOS's random number generator and turned them into songs.
And I'm gonna gamble big. The more complicated, the bigger the gamble, but the bigger the payoff. Okay, here we go. Escape. So, Alt P, adulteress. I can't tell how long this is playing.
Then, believing he had the attention of Larry Page, co-founder of Google, he began making videos introducing him to TempleOS, creating videos between 2 and 14 minutes long.
TempleOS. I'm going to give you a guided tour.
Can you?
I hate birds.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Google would have bought this and made it into their own OS? Like, gutted it?
Oh, and then we later learn
Yeah.
it was from this
Hey,
guy.
this could be Chrome OS. We don't know.
Let's see. So this is for Larry Page.
I technically, knowing the end of this, I wish they did that, but
Yeah.
However, it appeared that at some point, creating these videos became a compulsion.
So I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I just got a whole bunch of comments
Gotta do a video.
from people who are incredibly close-minded atheists. I have
A
proof,
snicker, man.
as in God talks. I am not
He would also take the time to talk about pieces of his life, though what was real and what was fictitious was uncertain.
So I used to be Catholic, and I have IRA tattooed on my forehead. But you're atheist, and you will always be atheist, which is funny. I think that's pretty funny. Anyway, God is just his own.
Hilarious.
Terry would make a total of 106 videos for Larry Page from July 13th to August 13th, and these videos would reveal certain aspects of his character that had been vague up to this point.
Oh, Noah
He
got
would discuss
upgraded.
his politics
You see that?
and believed he was specifically targeted by the CIA.
So, some stupid fuck CIA person thinks I'm a leftist, communist, Catholic, Irish. In reality, I'm more of a Republican, Reagan Republican, elitist, entrepreneur, Jewish, I guess.
ah,
I made
Ha-ha!
God's temple, and I do offerings all
Okay.
day.
knew it. I knew
No.
it had to do with that.
He would also often be interrupted by two birds that he kept, and he would wait until they were finished singing to speak again.
Oh, fucking hate birds. They're so annoying.
Question.
Parents were two desires I should attain my father because
So he made this thing, Mikey, and you can slowly see that this is his Bible now. Because he put everything in there and just press random generate.
Yeah.
Not a good thing to have for
No.
a crazy schizophrenic.
No. Because it could accidentally put go jump off a bridge and you'll be like, okay.
Davis emails me regularly and late into the night in Courier font from a 2 or 3 year old Dell desktop running Ubuntu. The article revealed many strange aspects of Terry's life. Startlingly, he lived on a 48-hour schedule, staying awake for 32 hours and sleeping for 16, drinking caffeine to maintain it. But
What?
much more was revealed about his past, as far as he could be trusted with giving an account of his own life. He was born in December of 1969, making him nearly 46 years old at the time, and the seventh of 8 children. He also filled in some of the missing information from his
He was in line about being a Catholic. Damn, 8 kids?
Quote unquote. Hold on. Jesus did not talk to his siblings. He wanted nothing to do with them. Strangers are better. I am the same way. What?
No. Damn it. What? See, I told you, like it's his own world now. Yeah.
website. In March of 1996, he believed he saw men in suits stalking him, which he eventually concluded, perhaps only later, was related to a side project of his. He drove south into the Arizona desert to escape
Oh, he's
them,
driving
but even
now.
then, he would interpret the voices on the radio as talking to him. At some point, he dismantled the body of the car to examine it for tracking devices. After arriving in western Texas, he abandoned the car and began walking along a desert road until he was stopped by a police officer who offered to take him into town. However, believing the officer a government spy, he bailed out of the cruiser and broke his collarbone, after which he was rushed to the hospital. When he
Oh, no.
overheard the doctors discussing his x-rays, he interpreted them to mean he had alien artifacts implanted into him, and he fled, but when he attempted to steal a truck from the parking lot, he was arrested by police. After
Okay.
spending time in jail and then 2 weeks in a mental hospital where he refused to eat, he was released, whereupon he drove aimlessly in the American South until July, when he returned to Arizona. Living off of credit, he
What a
attempted to
trip.
sell his home milling machine that he had mentioned in his Lusthos biography, but revealed the reason he had abandoned it. During a test, it had nearly set fire to his apartment. After a year, he was forced to move back in with his parents in Las Vegas, where he remained to that day. He wrote, "From 1996 to 2003, about every 6 months, I would have what they call a manic episode, and I would end up in a mental hospital. For those first few years, I was genuinely pretty crazy in a way. Now I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Once diagnosed as bipolar, he's since been declared schizophrenic. He now only takes a single medication and shrugs off the diagnosis. The label doesn't concern him.
Crazy in a different way, maybe." Towards the end of the article, Jesse Hicks summarized his experience with Terry by saying, quote, "After 2 months of emails and phone conversations, I know more than when I began. Specifically, I've accumulated more raw data, more facts about his life and experience, but I suspect I've only sketched a shadow. The full reality remains unreachable, an irreducible mystery." End quote. However, Terry never gave proof for any of these occurrences, and Hicks apparently hadn't verified any of his claims.
Okay.
Discussing his past with a journalist only galvanized Terry's resolve, and on January 20th, 2015, he recorded a video with a webcam showing his face as he spoke, calling it his first sermon. 4 days later, he would declare in no uncertain terms his position in the world.
So I'm high priest
Okay.
of God's official temple, and my job is to look after the code and to do continual offerings.
Throughout 2015, Terry would continue to upload sporadically, sometimes with just a few days between videos, sometimes more than a month, offering updates and rehashed explanations of topics he had already covered.
Okay, I want to go over some of the games. The first one is Timeout.
Gotta love those
You're
games.
supposedly sent back in time.
TempleOS
to help
exclusives.
the Jews, like in the Bible when there was the angel of death or something. And it's like Defender. You have to you shoot the purple ones and you try not to hit the cyan.
But soon, Terry would begin the practices that would eventually make him infamous online, and he would find himself under the scrutiny of a group
What?
that had at first dismissed him. In late November of 2015, Terry began making updates to his website of a more drastic nature. His rhetoric had slowly been degrading over the course of the year, but now he had grown far more aggressive in his prose, making a section of the website entitled, "Why the CIA Must Surrender to the IRA." It opens with, quote, "Obama and the atheist CIA wake each day and ask, how can we fuck God today? I know, we'll make nuns perform abortions. We make homos dance naked in Russian churches in front of old church ladies. Isn't that hilarious? We'll make a complete mockery of marriage because, after all, niggers don't have fathers, and that's not fair. My wife, Michelle, wants no cupcakes for school birthdays because of single moms. We'll make God hated, just for pedophiles and crazy insane sand niggers. We'll drink fetus soup with the Queen and celebrate the end of births," etc. He had begun to see the CIA as being at the center of conspiracies to obfuscate the nature of software code.
Why?
I told you. He says, dude, we are still not at the depths that he goes. His viewpoint is very bad. Once again, he's crazy. He can't help it. He thinks he's talking to God through
Right.
a random generator and in his brain, and he is convinced that the CIA has glowing people. He hates anyone that's not white, and Obama, which, I mean, a lot of people don't like Obama. But
I wonder how much
Right.
of this was just like the random number generator, like glowing people. Did he put glowing in
Oh.
there, and it just like glows, like the passage came out, and he's like, "Oh yeah, the CIA glows." Yeah,
No,
you don't think so?
no. He literally thinks, like, he said he killed one in 1999 by
Yeah.
hitting it with his
Stating,
car.
quote, "The CIA has been busy clusterfucking everything in the computer industry. Look at Hello World. Look at the bitmap file format. They planned ahead when they made the bitmap file format expandable. When the future came and they expanded, however, the format became a turd. The lesson is not to plan ahead like that. The CIA and British Northern Irish are waging a campaign to keep people ignorant and impotent by making new acronyms that conceal knowledge of strategic low-level computer concepts." End quote. Then, in mid-February of 2016, Terry altered the TempleOS website to the form for which it would become most known, with its teal background and blue border. It was in his blog that his most infamous piece of writing would be posted, which was expanded on in March. The full expanded text reads, quote, "I live in a CIA prison. A nigger runs my prison. In prison, the nigger tries to torment me. We can take away his knives by confessing. Every day. In about 2000, I masturbated fantasizing about my niece, Lanny. She looks like Star Trek 7 of 9. In 1985, at my sister's wedding, I stuck my crotch on the hot tub drain because it kinda sucked. In 1985, I tried to get a dog to lick my dick. From 1998 to 2003, I fantasized about leading a Catholic army like Dune of Mexicans or Brazilians. That was dumb because they're niggers. In 2003, I played tag with a black girl about 7 years old. She reached for my crotch. In high school, in the library, Carlos and I
Oh,
said
no.
juicy or toxic as a way of evaluating girls. In 1988, I cheated on my SAT by talking in the hall during the break. 2 problems. On 9/9/1999, I killed a CIA nigger on purpose with my car. In 1975, when I was about age 5, my brother, Keith, put my penis in a vacuum. In 1977, when I was about age 7, my brother, Danny, got me high on gas fumes, and we sucked each other's dicks. Dr. Tsoukalis has an oddly round ass. Paul Keck at Zytec had an oddly round ass. Distracting? At about age 5, Jay Wenrick and I touched dicks to each other's assholes. What do we do all day? We beat the nigger because the nigger cannot understand what a random number is. We beat the nigger because the nigger thinks the brain does timer tongues. We beat the nigger because he thinks TempleOS is real mode.
What?
What? You can't even say this. There is no, like, okay. I bet you money. The stuff he did in the drain, all that stuff he said, he did.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he didn't kill anybody with a car, though.
I mean, you don't know. You never know.
End quote. On March 16th, 2016,
Like I said, he's crazy.
Yeah.
Terry performed his first live stream on his YouTube channel. He began by streaming himself communing with God in TempleOS, checking his website, reading the Drudge Report, checking the OS dev forums and Hacker News, and reading the website of content creator Diana Cowan, better known as Physics Girl. This first stream lasted only an hour and a half. 2 days later, he would do the same thing.
I don't know who Physics Girl is,
I don't know.
right?
Yeah.
But she is a character in this because you know how Daniel Larson, they were like Grace Vanderwall, right?
Yeah.
Did it about Physics Girl.
Despite his knowledge of his reputation on 4chan. His willingness to believe these people may have been driven by a deepening sense of loneliness, of which he was beginning to speak more frequently.
I feel odd. It's like fucking. I have nothing to do but this, and it's not something I want to do. It's hard.
Along with this, the harassment shifted in an attempt to elicit anger from him, and they found this simple due to his degraded mental state.
Hello? You're a faggot. You're the SS of the atheists. I can tell by your voice you're a faggot.
As 2017 began,
Okay.
it was clear that Terry A. Davis was beginning to struggle further with his emotions. He would go on rants more often, speaking on seemingly random subject matters, and his rhetoric grew even more aggressive with time.
First of all, hacking is for Ovaltine spooge drinking nigger fuckers. Okay?
Ovaltine. I haven't heard that in like years.
I mean, he word salads his stuff.
His brain is now a random number generator.
Yeah.
You're a
Yeah.
You're this is ring
But that N word is like a couple numbers because it keeps popping up.
zero only. Go fuck yourself with your goddamn fucking Ovaltine decoder ring nigger shit. I'm not interested in your nigger shit. This is ring fucking zero. Go fuck yourself. Fucking faggots. Moses, they killed the male Hebrews at Moses' birth. What did he do? He did perfect justice and he killed at Passover. It's perfect justice. You don't get
Yeah. Mikey, didn't you know Moses killed all the men Passover, right?
Sure.
more than perfect justice. You just get perfect justice. What kind of he's gonna fuck with God? Some homo's gonna do it. I'm gonna get some popcorn, okay? I'm gonna get some fucking popcorn. This is public fucking domain. I have fucking Godfather fucking kill you fucking enforcement. You fuck with God, he fucks your shit up. You can download my 2 meg distribution that has all the source code on it, and you can compile with my fucking compiler. You're a nigger. You're a fucking nigger.
You know, he would have been perfect to play Call of Duty.
Like, is it like gaming words?
He sounds like he's in a Call of Duty lobby back in the day.
Yeah, I would say back in the day because nobody's really
Yeah.
like I shut off chat when I
Mhm.
play Call of Duty. It's like there's no point.
As he was still able to stream on another service. After only a week, however, someone was able to acquire his password and steal the account, and when he created another 2 days later, it only took a single day for him to lose this as well. His third account he was able to hold on to for a month, from April 9th to May 3rd of 2017, but then he was suspended due to terms of use violations. While he
Oh.
was struggling to stream again, he began uploading videos in the style of video logs, often recording himself talking as he walked, though he would also record himself singing to popular heavy metal tunes and drumming his fingers on the table with remarkable proficiency. His walking sessions he would eventually call Paladin Walks, which he recorded for the benefit of Diana Cowan, to whom he now believed himself married, though
Oh. I see what you were saying about Cyrus. I mean,
was
not Cyrus,
uncertain
Daniel
whether
Larson.
these were Terry's
Oh yeah, and the last for people that haven't seen it, the last time we talked about Daniel Larson, there were two things that reminded me of this gentleman, which we will get to.
ideas, or ideas prompted by whoever was posing as Diana.
So, why did I marry you? I married you because I'm bored.
During these Paladin walks, it was common for him to walk to a particular spot against a wall in the suburbs of Las Vegas, where he
I'll
was
just
living.
let it do
In
it.
one of these instances, when a black man was passing, he prompted an argument between the two.
Hey, nigger. How you doing? I'm sitting here talking about sexual assault. You walk up here and fucking get in my face.
I didn't get in your face. I
Oh,
walked
okay,
all the
sorry,
way
okay.
to the, over there. I didn't even want nothing to do with you.
Okay, I'm
I
talking
didn't
in a
say
private
shit to you.
conversation. You come walking over here.
This is a public street. I'm
Okay.
walking to the fucking store.
Okay.
The place I see you walk damn near every fucking day. I never say nothing to you in my life. You know
Okay.
you want to just disrespect me?
Only 15 days after his Hitbox account was banned, however, his YouTube account was shut down as well, and he began uploading videos to the TempleOS website instead. But this would coincide with a rapid deterioration in his mental state, likely in part because he had stopped taking his antipsychotics. Through July and August, he would
Oh,
grow
good.
aggressive, yelling at his parents.
This is the point where I feel really bad because he had the medication. So, like I said, this is a hard thing to explain to people without me sounding like a piece of shit because the guy says horrible things.
Right.
But he's insane.
Yeah.
He's insane. And any grip that he had with that medication, gone.
Parents and
Yeah.
drinking heavily.
No. How can you defend the niggers? Talks to God and be so prejudiced. He made all of us. I fucking see with the eyes wide open. I see with the eyes wide open. What do you mean? What makes you so prejudiced? What do you got against other people, minorities? Because my woman is fucking niggers. Are you a Superman? Yes, I am. That fucking dog is getting raped. Fuck you. The dog is getting raped. By who? By the fucking other dogs.
Yikes.
Yes. You are the fucking righteous monster of fucking Area 51. No, that balls. I fucking meditate on the Bible. The righteous power of Rome. That balls. Do not be a ham. Preach. That's the reason I'm the savior of our country. Fuck you, bitch. Respect. Okay, remember the Collins that stood up to the English. No, have fun with your shit television.
Daddy!
I'm sorry. I made myself, I don't know, you were good, and I made myself hatred for some reason. I don't know. Forgive me, I have to try and figure out why I remember that I love you.
But soon, things would take a drastic
Whoa.
turn for the worse.
Yeah.
On August 25th, 2017,
Eesh.
Terry was arrested for domestic violence against his father. After spending time in jail and subsequently in a mental hospital, he was no longer welcome with his parents, and he was forced to live on the street.
I mean, go them.
Now, you know how I said, like, usually locales have arcs,
Mhm.
right? The homeless arc is usually around the
His
end.
court date was set for October 31st.
Here's our
He had
homeless
set
arc.
up a donation link on his website where interested viewers, likely from 4chan and 8chan, were supporting him.
Now, we've all seen this before. Trolls are horrible people. They go after people usually for no good reason, unless they're getting fed lols and all that stuff, and what have you. But also the trolls. I've seen this with every single one. When the person is like completely out, like they're defeated, or they're in a bad situation like this, the first ones to donate are the trolls.
While he had once denied them out of fear for losing his disability checks, he now was asking people for donations.
Skinny dip?
So there were many dear resources sacrificed to produce me. I've been a king in training, and there were dear resources sacrificed. I get dear Templar donations at my www.TempleOS. The children are sending in $20, $10. I'm living off of the donations of children. So
Only 6 days after being released, however, on September 20th, he was arrested once again, this time for open and gross lewdness due to urinating in his van, and was released again very soon afterwards. Still living on the streets, Terry would be monitored closely by the Kiwi Farms, who had taken a newfound interest in him 5 months prior after content creator Mr. Medicare had made a video on him. During this time, Terry would live and stream out of his van. Soon, his sister became aware of his situation and offered to pay for a hotel room for him, but this apparently fell through. When he failed to appear for his court date, wanted posters were spread across Las Vegas with his face on it, and within 2 weeks of them going up, Terry was discovered and arrested, but he would receive assistance from an unexpected source. In August, a GoFundMe page had been created in order to raise money so that someone could buy Terry a new drum kit and ship it to him, which was met thanks to 3 people and delivered only days before he assaulted his father. Some suspected this drum kit may have contributed to the argument. This time, the owner of the website 8chan, Jim Watkins, helped raise money and pay for Terry's bail to release him from jail. And on November 10th, 2017, he was returned to the streets of Las Vegas with his arraignment set for January 18th. Almost immediately, he began streaming again from his van, much as he had before, though in shorter intervals.
Like, it's weird
Also,
how this story and like how it started. Very on forums, all that stuff. You have an operating system, all this stuff, and then the batshit crazy shit starts happening. Then you get the webcam stuff, complete locale mode. Then,
it's if you think about it, it's like it started out as like this obsession to create something, and he focused all his time and effort on that, and then he started branching off into like thinking more about himself and thinking. As he got the OS done, it seems like he started focusing more on the OS and like what it was doing. And then boom.
Well, I like your analogy, other than the fact you completely missed out on the fact that he is fucking crazy.
Well, I mean, he's crazy, but if you think about it, a crazy person, if they concentrate on something, that sometimes that acts as like a deterrent for them to do other crazy things. Like to go off the deep end.
I just think it's like crazy too, because like he wasn't crazy the whole time. When he was at Ticketmaster, he wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
So continued recording videos for Diana.
Well, schizophrenia, if you think about it, around that time he would be late 20s, early 30s, and that's around the time that schizophrenia, like between
well, the whole schizophrenia thing
20s.
happened when he heard the voices in the radio talking to him.
Right, but that happened.
The whole thing. No, that
when was that?
That was the start of.
Right, I thought that was after Ticketmaster.
Yeah, like when he made his own mill thing, right? Because he left there, he wanted to be an entrepreneur,
right?
And then we were told that story how he heard voices, in the radio, tried getting that, and then jumping out of a car.
Yeah, so I wonder, like a lot of times stress will cause schizophrenia. They're not sure what the link is, I don't think, last I checked. But I wonder if the stress of trying to figure something out in his own business, like
I think our mind is made out of like web strings.
Yeah.
And the tension, no matter what you do, you're pulling to one end, your mind could snap.
Yeah.
Just think about like that. Like we can't comprehend because we've never gone off the deep end.
Right.
At least I haven't. I think you have.
I've not.
Like a mental breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen it happen to some people where they just like everything that they know, they have plans, it's gone. And it's like a realization and their world crumbles.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a complete restart.
To whom he still believed himself married, though he was able to recognize that something was amiss.
Oh, Mrs. Wife Diana, here we are at the dollar store. This is in Goodyear. There's the Wells Fargo. This seems to, I have figured out how to live really, really well. I figured out all the spots and everything. So like, you're the wife. Yeah, in theory you would be in charge of the groceries, but like we don't part company. We only got one van. We live in the van. This is actually the center of the universe. I know you don't understand that. I don't know why you're not over here. But anyway, so like
Even so, he would record video of himself masturbating for her, which he posted on his website in folders labeled specifically for her. Towards early December, he began to believe further that he was hallucinating, and he was actually in a prison cell, but he would later return to believing that Diana would move into his van with him. The content of his streams tended more and more towards himself listlessly browsing the internet and masturbating to pornography, the latter of which he could continue to do as he was hosting the streams on his own website rather than another service.
I don't really get email. Like, I sort of like talk, and then it looks like I talk to all these girls. It looks like they're responding, but like I don't get any email. And I don't get any visitors, so it looks like I'm in prison. So that's a little bit depressing. They just played Queen, nothing really matters. Well, basically the same dumb fuck CIA niggas like, go get a job. Hey, you dumb fuck, I'm a prisoner. I sure as hell ain't gonna suck any CIA cock. That's damn straight. Just gonna sit here and fucking kill time with God and say, fuck you, 'cause you don't listen to.
Again, however, he stopped streaming abruptly in January. Some members of the Kiwi Farms had discovered his case file online and were tracking it to see if he would appear for his arraignment. Some suspected that he had been arrested again and was being held in jail, but on January 18th, it was discovered that he failed to appear in court. Then, late that month, after uploading a series of long videos in an unknown house, he stopped producing content of any kind online and disappeared.
So what do you think happened?
It depends on where the unknown house is. My guess is
In March of 2018, nearly 2 months later,
my guess is he moved in with one of his siblings and tried to get better, but then realized all the crazy stuff he'd done and goes bye-bye.
later, Terry suddenly reappeared with new streams and videos, now living homeless in Portland, Oregon, over 700 miles away, without his van. Apparently missing his laptop, he would use his phone to record streams and videos.
That's the library, and the library computer seems to work with this camera, which is really cool. So I'm gonna be doing songs and stuff. How about I start with Faded Glory? The Roman dome is a hoary glory. The melted pilgrims tell a Tory story. Faded tongues echo.
These were often similar to his musings from before, speaking of broad religious concepts and his thoughts on Diana, though he seemed to lose focus even more easily.
Definitions: white woman has sex to reproduce. Black woman has sex because it feels good. That's the difference. So
That's something. That's
question
not
is,
right, but
so Terry, you know,
He is the epitome of like, what does a homeless person look like,
yeah.
and how they sound? Oh, rambling incoherently.
Yep.
I've kind of been viewing Diana as my wife, and the Bible says you got to satisfy her needs. So I've been doing a certain amount just because of, oh, fuck it, I don't really have to justify myself, you know, because like, hey, it's just a matter of time. Just hang in there a little bit. You can have Diana. And so like the question is, so.
He would also often record himself dancing for Diana, sometimes to music played on the overhead speakers in a subway he frequented, other times to nothing at all. It didn't take long for interested parties to track him down, and soon
Well, there's
people
music.
online were discovering him and recording their interactions. These interviews were often remarkably respectful, with people inquiring about Terry's history and thoughts on programming, and Terry would have little trouble holding lucid conversation with them.
I've learned some of the. At one point, when I was about 1996, the internet was getting big. I'm like, you know what? There's another generation coming along. I'm just gonna let them do all the internet stuff. I'm gonna stick to what because my background was like the low-level assembly stuff, right? So I'm like.
But by this point, his mental state was diminishing. By May, he believed he was in psychic communication with Elon Musk and James N. Mattis, designing new features for TempleOS.
Oh,
So
man.
I got Krisanich on the phone, the telepathy phone. You there, Krisanich? Yeah, I think so. I got who else I got here? Got Elon Musk. Got General Mattis. So probably some lurkers. I can't really control it. I don't really know who has access. Anyway, so we're going to talk with Krisanich about his.
As the months wore on, his ability to speak and hold on to a concept had reduced considerably, and by August, his speech was noticeably slurred.
This is hard to watch. This part.
Well, I give a real good passionate improvised.
And then, suddenly, news would come to Terry's followers. One of his relatives, Therese Davis, wrote a Facebook post reading, quote, "Our family lost our very special, bright, shining star, Terry A. Davis, born on December 1969, Wisconsin, leaving this world August 2018, Oregon, in an accidental and unexpected death while traveling on his Great Western adventure. This included Nevada, Arizona, California, Washington, and Oregon. He will be greatly missed by his family that loved him very much, enough to let him be free to continue his journey on his terms. He will also be missed by many of his online community that recognized his amazing brilliance, sense of humor, wit, and dimpled smile that was truly captivating. Thank you for supporting him by donating to his cause and lifetime work on TempleOS and loving him on his journey." End quote. At first, people thought that this news might have been a prank, and 4chan users went as far as to declare the accounts falsified with what they believed to be near-conclusive evidence. Videos were created to collate this information and decry the people who had engineered what they believed was a hoax.
What I think has happened is some people that stole his PayPal information several weeks ago now have access to a Facebook account, and they've added members of his family to it.
However, it was soon confirmed by family members, emails to the police in the Dalles, and news reports that he had been hit and killed by a train on August 11, 2018, in Wasco County, Oregon. The train engineer believed it to be a suicide. Slowly, his internet following came to accept his passing and joked about the CIA agents against which he had railed so enthusiastically. As the months passed by, Terry was spoken of less and less until he faded back into obscurity. His legacy online is mixed, at once a warning about the way that the internet can encourage the mentally ill to even greater harmful behavior and attract the attention of those hoping to encourage their illness, but it also shows the way that these strange people can be seen through numerous paradigms from different parties, with those onlookers coming to greater levels of empathy through the shared experience, even if they still afford themselves amusement. On a grander scale, it shows the way that the internet has transformed its perception and treatment of strange and eccentric individuals so that their unique experiences can be understood in a more constructive and appreciative way.
So, I hate that this does such a good job to illustrate, I guess, the feelings I have about the whole situation. Because yeah, he was fucking crazy. He was saying some weird shit.
Yeah.
And like that big ass paragraph that was on his site. Hell, near the end when he was still like there, you would say like he would probably say, "I'm not crazy," you know. But crazy people don't know that they're not crazy. Like,
I think some people, I think he strikes me as one of the crazy people that has lucid moments where he's like, "No, I'm crazy." But
yeah,
then,
like when he was arguing with his mother, he's like, "Wait, hold on."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I have you ever done marijuana?
No.
Okay. Have you ever been drunk?
Yes.
Have you ever had a sober moment while you were drunk?
I mean,
Like you're like, "Wait, hold on. I'm like you
I
gather
get what you're
yourself,
saying. I get what you're saying.
and you know you're going to go back into your mind of being intoxicated." Because I remember one of the first times, this was, I don't do drugs, but college, I remember like one of the first times I really got high off of marijuana. I had a moment where I'm doing this and I'm like getting like, oh, ooh, and I always fought it, right? And what you should not do. If you do that, everything goes worse. Because like you're making all that like attention to it, and then you just fall down more. But I had a sober moment where I'm like, okay, look, I'm at a dorm right now, very far away from like where I live. We're right by a bad neighborhood. You have to plan your steps right because you're gonna go back to being all weird. Like I had a moment, and I think like when people go insane, it slowly is like getting like that high, not high feeling, but your factions change kind of.
You're losing your mind.
Yeah, but then like you could swim up, kind of like that Get Out
Yeah.
movie, like out of the dark place or the whatever sad place,
Yeah.
and like you swim out. And I think that was the moment there. But when he couldn't talk anymore, like the whole,
Well, with mental illness also comes physical deterioration as well.
yeah, but
In some
that moment,
cases.
that moment, it was done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, kind of like a death rattle to someone that is dying. Once you hear that, you can't. There's a certain point that in your body, um, y'all don't know this. If you go to the hospital and stuff, and somehow the doctors know that hey, your loved one's not gonna, they're about to die. How do they know that? Because your body, if it's through like an illness or something like that, has to like a computer has to shut down. Like so it has to do this, so that process there.
Yeah.
And once a certain level in your brain is gone, it's preparing for death. So you're already dead. You can't fix that. You know.
Right. Yeah. Some people get a smell. Some people do, certain things. Yeah.
No, but when they're in that comatose state where they're still alive
Right.
and breathing, but they could tell from their blood, the pulse rate, and uh, something I forgot what is. I don't know all the technical terms. It literally, they know that they're not going to last long,
right?
Because the countdown has begun until you hear the death rattle.
Right.
So, I have a feeling it was kind of like that. I'm upset because like that sad music hit me too.
Yeah.
Because he someone super religious, even if he was insane, right? And he purposely went in front of a train.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that was his sober moment. Like I can't. I'm lost.
Yeah.
Or maybe he didn't know what was going on.
It was really weird that in that post from his family, they're like, he's going on his trip. Thank you for supporting him.
It's a coping thing.
Yeah.
They kicked him out.
Yeah.
And he went that way. And to stay face, they were like, well, he was on his own journey because
I don't like stuff like that
with his rules. No, for his family and all that stuff. And sometimes you have to change true history on like mourning,
I don't.
Somebody. I know the truth is what really comes out, but this is why we all think Napoleon is short. It's refined history. So I pretty much think this is a very sad story. He says some fucked up shit, and I wanted to document it here too because this is the guy fell hard,
right?
But if he was just a little younger,
he probably could have done something. With the mill he had, definitely with TempleOS, like how it was before. Like he could have probably marketed that and got something going, or made some kind of positive thing on society at the very least. Because he seemed like a smart enough person. Maybe if he had like a business guy, because he wasn't, like the business guy. He seemed more of like, let's go do this guy.
I mean, there's that one little roadblock though of him believing that CIA glowing people.
No, I'm saying if that never happened, because it seemed like he was pretty normal at one point. And then my guess is, just based off the timeline and stuff that's said, he got overwhelmed, and that's whenever his schizophrenia reared its ugly head. And then from there, it was just downhill. So maybe if he would have started this business or entrepreneurship or whatever with a business person where he didn't have all the stress of that plus creating something, wow. Just think of what he could have done, possibly.
I mean, you're probably right on that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. This is just based off of, what is this, an hour and 25-minute thing? And
well, I did skip a bunch of parts.
Yeah.
Well, not a bunch of parts, but just parts of him just like literally saying some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Like I said, if he was born a little like let's say 10 years into the future, maybe a different mindset. His mental state would have been different.
Yep.
His contributions, although maybe people would be like, I didn't even know who this guy was.
Yeah.
In localism, if that's a word, in the
Okay.
in the threshold of locals and what have you, or internet degenerates or internet like weird people, uh, he is extremely ingrained in that because I've heard Mr. Medicare talk about glowy CIA people multiple times. TempleOS, a lot of people even not knowing how crazy the guy was. I've seen people like do tutorials on it,
Right.
and I mean, even comments that we've had on like I talked about. Oh, this kind of reminds me of the guy from TempleOS on one of the things. Somebody brought up, no, don't compare Daniel Larson to him because TempleOS guy he was a genius.
Yeah.
Like people have mad respect for him, and I do
Right.
too. Like,
Well, it was
but I
just,
do know he's crazy.
it was just cool that like towards the end there, people sought him out and then like gave him food, and he'd sit there and talk with them and seemed like he could carry on a semi-intelligent conversation. That's awesome. Having somebody like being a young programmer and then finding somebody like that you could talk to about it, that could share his wealth of knowledge, even though he's kind of part of his brain's over here somewhere. He still has all that knowledge of creating stuff.
Don't you think it's like it's not fair because like we have people like Cyrax, right?
Yeah.
Or Daniel Larson, people that have no like to society themselves, other than them being a laughing stock, there's nothing positive or beneficial to having them around.
Yeah, no redeeming factors.
But this guy, although he was absolutely bonkers, at one point he was extremely smart. He was above 95% of anyone to take in the SATs.
Mm-hmm.
He just had a mental break and it just went down. And although society may have failed him, it sucks that the more less, well, they're more of a locale because they're worthless. And it sucks that I'm even putting this guy in the same vein as those people.
Right.
But it's the same grouping.
Mm-hmm.
But I like a little part of me doesn't want you to list him as an internet degenerate. But I mean, he was.
Yeah, he was, because he posted stuff on the internet and came back and did it over and over and over again, regardless of the consequences. And that's on him. But also mental illness. That's why I haven't ragged on him and said the stuff that I normally say about these crazy people.
Oh, like you think he's in you think he's in number generated heaven with his fucking elephant that he could have had it at all these different colors, but he wanted only those 16.
He did upgrade that Moses though.
Gotcha. I have to make sure I put the comics in there.
The creepiest part of this whole thing was whenever he would giggle. That's like, man, don't do that. That's weird.
Oh, you're just an atheist. I made a compiler. What did you do?
There's stuff that I can do, and then there's stuff that you can't do.
I made a number generating camp over here. Punish.
And with that, guys, go check us out on YouTube at Banana Bear Show and like and subscribe and watch our other videos. We got videos on Cyrax and Daniel Larson and a whole bunch of other people. Like just all the locales we'll eventually have up there. I'm pretty sure we'll just go through the catalog and just boom, throw them up there.
I mean, I don't know if we're missing any of the true heavy hitters. Oh no, we are kind of, but we'll get to them eventually.
Yeah, leave them in the comments. We see your comments. I think we've pulled some people or talked about bringing some people.
A compiler, and I put a generator, and I gave them an offering. And
we'll see you next video. Bye.
Moses hates you.